Lama.
All right, welcome back. We are our Nagarjuna Investigators Group. This is July 9th, 2025. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them there with you. Mm.
ladies. I think we lost Lama Sarani. She's not. I thought it was taking a long time for her to continue her prayers.
She'll be
Yeah.
back.
Yes, she'll be back. Okay, she just sent a message. It says, my computer is stalled. I will need to reboot. That takes 5 to 10 minutes. Please let Janet know. And Elsie and Suba.
Right.
Now we're more. Okay. Hi, ladies.
Hello. Brightening your some feet.
Yes,
I mean, this is the meditation from yesterday. It's coming
right.
from
I was
our own
doing it. Right,
side. So
right.
how do
From the
we
Mahamudra.
stop it
Hmm.
from coming from our own side to look at it with emptiness?
Right. Yes. Mm. I haven't seen the last two classes that I was absent. So in what chapter are we?
Chapter 12.
13, suffering?
Repeat
12, suffering.
Okay, chapter 12. We're still not in chapter 14 where we left it, right?
I think 15 is where we left it.
To start
10
with.
was, yeah, 10 was fire and fuel, 11 was,
Beginnings and endings.
and then we're on 12, which
Suffer.
is pain, suffering.
Hmm.
Okay. So it is taking her a little bit longer. I've been looking at the phone and see if she texts again.
Do you want to do the preliminaries? We can do it, but I don't know if she wants to do it.
I think she won't. I think she will skip that part.
Do you want to do it while we're waiting or no?
Mm. My mind is always at this time in the morning.
I have it written down.
Okay, yes, go right ahead, please. I have it also, but I don't know. I need to look for it. Please go right ahead.
I have it in Tibetan too.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's good.
Here's the great earth, filled with this fragrant incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, the four continents wearing a jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idem Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niratayami. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. She does it a little bit differently. Um, I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community.
By the merit that I do in sharing
In
this
sharing this
preliminaries,
class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of all living beings. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. By the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. By the merit that we do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings
complete
complete their complete
their highest attainment for the benefit of
highest
all.
attainment for the benefit of all others.
Okay, very good.
There's a team effort, Lama Sarani.
Thank you so much. Crazy. Solar flare. Yeah. Don't know what that was about, but hopefully that's the obstacle for today for everybody. All done.
We
No
already
more.
did the meditation yesterday. It's coming from our side.
Exactly. But that does help a little bit. All right, I'm all discombobulated here. The recording's even on. How did that happen? On my, I don't know, maybe it was just me that was in a black hole. You guys carried on quite well without me. All right, we need share. We want the root text first. I want to get bigger. Okay, Roxana, please, will you share the opening with us down to Teenage Boy?
My pleasure, dear Holy Lama. Thank you. Here I have made a song for you on the very root of the middle way, which I call wisdom. In the language of India, this cult is called Prashnanama Mula Madhyamaka Karika. In the language of Tibet, it is known as Umat Sewe Seklur Jepacharab. In English, we call it wisdom, a song on the root of the middle way. I bow down to my jury, the glorious gentle voice in his guise as a teenage boy.
Thank you. Janet, 1.1, please.
I bow down to the highest of teachers, to the fully enlightened one, who teaches us to reach that peace where all our fantasies about how things exist are put to a final rest.
Yay. Elsie, 1.2.
Thank you, Lama. I bow to the one who taught us that things happen independent. Nothing ends and nothing begins. Nothing stops, but nothing ever lasts forever. Nothing comes and nothing goes. No two things are different, nor are any two the same.
No thing grows from itself. No thing grows from something else. No thing grows from both. And no thing grows without a cause. There is nothing at all that grows at all. At all. So think through the chapters. First, Nagarjuna says, this is what we believe cause things. And if we really look at it, those worldly causes can't be the real causes. But what he says is those real causes have no nature, and the results have no nature. Right? So we're left with the conclusion, well, then things can't be happening the way they seem to. And we go, yeah, but how is it then that I do things? And chapter 2 is, well, let's see. Like a common theme in doing something is you have to go from one place to the next, literally one place to the next, but also in the sense of the change happen. Change, 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 change. That's a kind of going as well. And then when they say going, goer, going, there's always the underlying implication of also going from lifetime to lifetime. So although he's not talking about that specifically, he's got this implication underneath that he's not just talking about me going to the bathroom or me going to the grocery store or me saying something to Samati to get him to do something for me, which is another kind of going, but also how that whole process, in that whole process, I am going through life and will go from this life to the next, etc. That comes up later, but it's like an underlying theme. So we follow that argument. It's like, yeah, I see what you mean. You can't really pinpoint the going, so you can't pinpoint the goer, so you can't pinpoint the getting there. But come on, Nagarjuna. That doesn't mean things have no nature. That doesn't mean I don't have any nature. Like I see things, I hear things, I smell things. If you're saying that me and what I do have no nature, then what's going on here? So he goes, okay, let's investigate those powers. Is the eyeball, is your eye seeing things? If it's the eye seeing things, that's what it does all by itself. If that's what we believe, that's what it does, and it's in it from it, then it should be able to see everything, including itself. And your eyeball can't see itself. Like it just seems absurd. Why would he say that? Because he's showing us how to think through the ramifications of our beliefs. If I exist in me, from me, independent of any other factor, what would I be like? So that's what he's pointing out in all these different investigations. It's like we aren't like what we would be like if we were as an independently existing thing unto ourselves like we think. So third chapter was the analysis of the powers, the sense powers. And we understand, okay, they rely upon each other, we get that, but come on, still, right? There's physical form, right? I do so have the heap of form. And chapter 4 was looking into the form and what are the causes of form and what is form the result of. And then if we could show that we were misunderstanding our heap of form, he said, go and do the same thing with your heap of feeling, discriminating all the other factors and consciousness. And we did that, remember? To see that, not that they aren't existent, but to see that, oh, they must exist in a different way than I'm thinking they exist. We were investigating the parts of a person there. Which parts of a person, right? My form, my feeling, my discriminating. And we extend that then to like everything I experience is parts of my person. And we still like don't relate to me and my world in that way. There's me and there's my world. And then me and my body, that's parts of me. But me and my world, that's not parts of me. But as we're getting more and more familiar, it's like everything I experience is unique to me. So you could extend that to say, well, then it is a part of me, right? We're starting to expand that sense of identity to include our experience, which would include other beings, which would help us get to that compassion and bodhicitta of being able to exchange self and others at the level of expanding self to include others. But Nagarjuna is like not going there, but we can see the seeds he's planting. And we see the big picture when we look at each of the little pieces. It's like, oh my gosh, right? He's alluding to all this other stuff. So then we go, yeah, I see your point about parts of a person, but wait. I do, Buddha said I'm made up of the elements. My heap of form is made up of elements. So there must be a me with the elements. And he goes through, he investigates the element of space as opposed to the element of earth or water or fire or wind, although the argument would apply to all of them, to see that you can't have an element that has its own nature. Right? Elements have no natures either. Well, if they have no natures, what the heck are they? I mean, I watch my mind jump to that conclusion of it has no nature. And it goes, bah, so it's nothing? No. If it has no nature, it can have the nature I'm aware of it having. Only I'm blaming it for having it instead of blaming me for having it, for it having it. I don't know if that's making any sense. This is supposed to be a quick review. So then we go, okay. But then we get to thinking about it and we go, yeah, but Nagarjuna, you can't say that there's no elements, and you can't say there's no me with my elements, because like I'm here and I do things. Like, that's our premise. I exist as me because I'm a functioning thing. And we're at the level, I mean, the Kachik is at the level that still is insisting that there is a me, that things happen to, right? Our Kachik doesn't believe in totally self-existence because we know we depend on other things, all kinds of other things. But included in that may not yet be the ethical component of my behavior. And like, for me, that's still not an obvious connection. I know it's the punchline, but like, to get there still takes me about 5 minutes of thinking. Oh, that's why. So from an investigation of the elements, those elements have no nature. So how can you say that you're made up of them? Your body is made up of them. Yeah, but if there's no me, Nagarjuna, like, who is it that has the desire to do the thing I'm going to do? Am I functioning? And he goes, all right, if you're saying that because you have desire, that makes you an existing thing, let's investigate that relationship between our me and our desire and the thing that we desire, because there has to be that third factor, doesn't there? If there's a desire, there's something we're desiring, and there's a me that desires, and that's our premise. See, Nagarjuna, I do so have my own nature, because I'm the one there who wants that or wants to do that. So I have to be here, Nagarjuna. And he goes, okay, let's check that out. What comes first? Right? The desire or the desirer? Or the thing to be desired? And he took us through that investigation, trying to find the answer to that. Because if it's true that desiring something proves that I exist, then the I that exists, I should be able to find the first moment of the desire that makes me the desirer, because I wasn't the desirer, and then I became the desirer. And then I did what the desire made me want to do, and then I became something different. So if that I exists the way we are thinking, our Kachik, then we should be able to find the moment before the desire arises, and we should be able to find the thing that triggers the desire. But when we go looking for either the moment or the thing, right, for all those different reasons, we can't actually find it. And yet we experience the desire. And he goes, right, because it has no nature. And we go, no, but it has to have a nature so that I can experience it. It's like we're using the word no nature in two different ways, aren't we? So then he shows us that when we desire that thing, the me, the it, and the desire all have no natures. You know, we followed his argument okay, I get it. But then Arkashik goes, yeah, but my experience is I wake up in the morning, like it seems always the first thing I notice is I need to go to the toilet. And then I sit up, turn, put my feet on the floor, wait a moment to make sure I'm, stand up, wait a moment to be sure. And then I walk to the bathroom. There, right? I made that decision. And then I start doing it. And then I finish doing it, Nagarjuna. So I do things driven by desire. And he goes, okay, let's check all that out. And we already did by way of the going, go, or gone, because it's the same idea. But now we're talking about it in terms of producing something, actually making something happen as opposed to just making me walk down a road. So we're saying, no, because I actually produce something, I must have an existence of my own, or I wouldn't be able to influence things to make them into something else. And he goes, okay, if you can influence things to make them into something else, we should be able to find a start of that, and a middle of that, and an ending to the producing it. So the thing is there then, is there then. And we go into that chapter about trying to find establishing the start. Remember how fun that was? The start of the start. The start of the start of the start of the start. Showing us that we can keep I can't think of that word, deconstructing infinitely, so that you can't ever find the actual start. And same for the actual middle, and same for the actual end. So those producing something has no nature. But I do so produce things, right? We get a glimpse and then my mind just goes, nah, it can't be. That can't be. Chapter 7 went, well, forever. Ooh. Come on, chapter 7. Where's your end? Huh, there's no end. That's the whole point of chapter 7. No start, no finish, so it goes on forever. Ah, there it is. Things start, stay, and end in the same way as a dream, as an illusion, as a city of spirits. They appear to start, stay, and end. But when you wake up, oh, it was just a dream. When we wake up, oh, it's just my karma. But it's like when we say just, my mind is downplaying something. Oh, so it's not important, right? Oh, it was just a dream. So all that horrible stuff that happened in the dream didn't really happen. I can disregard it. But if we say that about life, oh, it was all just my karma. we can't just disregard it. It didn't happen. It did happen. And how we respond to it is also just my karma, and is going to make some future experience that's just my karma. It's like the word just ought to be crossed out there and say, wow, it's all my karma. When I wake up, wow, that was a dream. Wow, that was karma ripening. Hopefully that would help us.
But what
But
do,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I guess we all had the same idea in the mind, but okay, we're living this dream, right?
Yeah,
We are doing things. We are getting up in the morning. We are going to the toilet. We are drinking tea. We are doing so many things. The ing is playing
right,
its tune completely every millisecond of our lives.
right,
But it's like not being aware that we're in the matrix, right?
right, right, right. That it is all happening. Like
It
a
all,
dream, all happening. It's all very real while we're in it.
but the wisdom is, I mean, it is a dream, but sooner or later you're gonna wake up.
Wake up to the fact that it's a dream. So it's like that I'm catching the analogy when we say, oh, you know, Buddha is a fully awakened being. I'm going to be a fully awakened being. And it looks like I can't quite get the words. Suppose we're dreaming, and then in the dream we wake up to the fact that we are dreaming. We don't leave the dream and come into waking life. In the dream we go, oh, this is this reality is dream reality. So that now we know we are experiencing our reality consistent with the way it is, right? Lucid dreaming would be experiencing our experiences true to how they are, meaning we're experiencing our experiences as a dream, as opposed to when ordinarily we're dreaming, we're not aware that we're dreaming until we come out of it. So it's like when we wake up, we will recognize, we will experience that everything we experience is these seed ripening mental images, constant shape shifting. So it'll be more like we know we're in the dream, as opposed to waking up and leaving it all, right? So if we wake up from samsara, like we wake up from a dream, it means the dream is left behind and we come out into our more real reality. And if we think of samsara as something that we wake up from and step out of, we still have this implication that it's there. But I think for Buddhas, that reality of samsara, they experience that others experience it, and they know it's illusory. They know it's dreamlike. And I'm not getting across what I'm trying to go to. That we can wake up from the dream, or we can wake up in the dream and know it's dream. So waking up to samsara means waking up to recognize that samsara's true nature is its no nature. So we don't have to get out of samsara to stop samsara, we wake up within samsara. And so now it has no influence over us. It's all the opportunity to love.
Okay. In my ignorant world, in my ignorant life, and trying to deconstruct so many things, okay? It's like I'm in meditation and I'm being aware, consciously aware of what's going internally inside of me, trying to recognize those ripenings, okay? But being so limited in understanding, in clear understanding, the skandhas, they play their own part, right?
They
And
seem
trying to deconstruct that also, it's like being limited to shut them down and just be aware of your mind. Then
Yeah,
that's in meditation.
right.
Then in your own life, until something, I mean, in my life, something happens, I pause, I stop, and I deconstruct. Could that be like a little waking up?
Yes. Yes. A big waking up. Because
Oh,
even to be able to pause in the midst of the automaticity of daily life from a self-existent perspective, that right there is a waking up. And
the
then
same,
yeah,
and the same meditation that you're trying to shut those senses off and just try to concentrate and see what's going on in there, trying to recognize the no nature of your mind.
right. Rather than shut the senses off, I would rephrase that to say not
Engage.
pay attention, right? Not engage them.
Okay. That's what I was trying to say, not to engage, I mean,
Not to
not,
engage.
you're
Right.
right. So those are, I mean, because it's complex, dear Lama.
Totally complex.
So I think they're like baby steps, right?
Yeah.
This is what Nagarjuna is trying to lead us by. It's like, well, at least for me, in my understanding.
Okay. Okay.
It's like you don't want to lose your focus because that's one of the assignments of the meditation. So you want to have your senses, you don't want to lose your focus. But then when you're focusing, you don't want to go off on all these tangents about what you're focusing on. You don't want to go like you don't want to go into um your typical reactions to things. Like if say like I lose something, I lose my water bottle or my thermos, I immediately start thinking, well, how can I replace it or how can I find it? But then I didn't really lose it because it was in my car the whole time.
Mhm.
So my mind is going off in all these directions
Yeah.
and I've lost my focus, which is the water bottle or the thermos, which is in my car the whole time. So we
Yeah.
just we start to wander and make up shit. And then when we catch it, we're like, well, that was a total waste of time. But most of our life we didn't catch it. And I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it. If I can't find something that I notice the very first reaction is how can I recreate it? And how
Yeah.
can I replace it? And that's not to look for it, but how can I don't know if it's in America we need to buy things all the time. How can I buy another one?
Yeah. Yeah. We are really bizarre creatures.
Oh, I really go only to the grocery, to be honest. And when I have to go,
Yeah.
I'm not really into buying a lot of stuff. But I am, like, for example, yesterday I was really trying hard in my meditation, and then you notice the sensations in your body and you say, oh, I don't want to engage in that, let it go, let it go. And then the birds, you notice that there is not just one type of bird singing, but there are many types of birds singing. And you don't want to engage in saying, oh, what a beautiful sound they're making. You just want them to be quiet. How do you silence those?
Yeah. All those stories that go off.
I know. So how do you disengage, for example, from the birds, Lama? Because here in our tiny garden, there are a lot of birds, and they
Yeah, yeah.
sing beautifully, and I imagine that they have different singing tunes, so there are different types of birds.
Right. Yeah, you would choose, that's my object that I'm going to deconstruct, and you find where the story, right? There's this line of raw awareness turning into a story and the story being told. And so, if the bird song is just totally disrupting the meditation, then you stop at the level of the outer sound bird song and do that deconstruction again and again and again and again. And maybe that turns out to be your whole meditation, is coming to recognize that, oh my gosh, this whole thing happening, bird song outside in a tree, multiple ones, blah, blah, blah. It's all bubbling up. It's all the ing of the mind happening. And it's clear that we really don't have control over that. Like, whatever's going to bubble up is going to bubble up. But the extent to which, as it bubbles up, we catch the train of thought and go with it, we're adding to it. So you catch bird and tree. Oh, no, right. It gets beyond mental words even. Through experience, you're getting more and more subtle.
But if,
And it shifts finally.
but if we go by, there's no beginning, there's no start, there's no ending. So how would that play off?
Yeah, for listening to a bird song, that wouldn't be the one I would use, because they're singing constantly. No, and I mean, where it would go would be, it sounds like they're singing constantly, but in fact, like each note begins and stays and ends. You could investigate it like that. I don't relate to that so much, but that's how you would do it, is zeroing in on a more specific aspect and seeing if you can establish when you can tell when it changes from this to that. But they're 5 songs later by the time you've stopped to decide, did that song start or not? And so
And if I
it's
play,
distracting.
and if I play like, oh, I've yacked too much in the past, maybe I should have listened more, be more quiet. I regret all the times that I, you know,
Yeah, you could go there. Yeah, that would be a different piece of it.
approach, right?
Don't
I mean, they don't disturb me, but in that precise moment when you're analyzing, you're there, you notice it more because you
right,
are zoomed
right.
in
And
that.
you see how fast there's information and then it's birdsong. It isn't information, put that together to out there, put that together to, and then 3 milliseconds later, you've got birdsong. It's like bird and tree singing. At the instant we hear that. And that Mahamudra meditation is about being able to be aware on more subtle milliseconds to be aware of the raw data turning into the storyboard. So you could stay on that for your whole meditation to catch that process happening. And
To
then
notice the ripening. That's what you
yeah.
mean. To notice the
Right.
ripenings of
Notice
every
the ripening. The
tone. of
ripening at the
every-
most subtle level, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
do my best. Thank you, dear Lama.
Mm. So that's our break time. Need a break?
I'll go get something to drink.
Okay. We'll wait for you.
Thank you.
I mean, Lama Samrani, there's a lot going on, right? It's like
Absolutely.
when we eat, you say we're eating, we can consume. It's kind of this alchemical. You can consume another energy, and then that energy is feeding basically our microbiome, our whole gut. And then if you could have systematic infection that's affecting your brain, right? You've got this anaerobic bacteria or aerobic bacteria, and then you're experiencing lack of energy, which feels like depression. And so are the bacteria running things? Because they're the invisible creatures that we don't see. But then I don't think that's what the Buddhists are talking about. I think the invisible creatures are not the bacteria. They're other than the bacteria. So there are these other things we don't see either, other than just not the bacteria. And then who's running the show? Because it's clearly, it's okay. So then we're interdependent. The show's being run interdependently. And that's where I'm stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
we're
guess
interdependent
it's
with
not
people with things we don't even know exist or we don't even acknowledge.
right. When I heard the phrase, the show is being run, it feels different than to say the show is running. Like the show is being run implies that there's some Uber, somebody, something that's manipulating things versus this process happening is reality. And to me, they feel very different. Am I frozen?
No, the show is being run comes from the talk in America, which is based on greed. So our country is not
Right,
based on the love of God or going to heaven. It's based on greed. And so a
right,
lot of the talk here is the top 1%, which is pulling the strings. And then a lot of people feel like, well, as long as they benefit, they don't care if the strings are being pulled. So this is how
right,
it is in my world. These are the
right,
conversations, these conversations based on decisions made on greed.
right. I agree. I agree. And that is our ripenings happening for them to be running the show based on greed.
Right.
It is happening. It is unique to each one of us. And it's not in it from it. It's so slippery, right? Because it sounds like we say, oh, there isn't really the top, 1% deciding what's best for everybody based on what will benefit them. But it is really that, but not really without it being made that to be that way by our own past seeds that have grown into that. Not just like all of us together have contributed to that state of happening.
Right. Well, I mean, I am an American. It's very sad, but I'm contributing to this stuff that we're
Me
doing
too.
here. And it's really, I mean, I feel like there's gonna be, but I don't know. And then it's just like, oh my God. And then it's interesting, Show Me Showers is not American, she's Australian. And she's like, well, you know, her premise is what if you had a world based on love? And then your premise is more like, what if you had a world based on teaching the Dharma, right? That's very a game changer. And so there are other ways of looking at the world other than the American way of greed. But, you know, for the most part, we think it's just normal here.
Right.
Just,
It's embarrassing. So we've gone through the starting, staying, stopping, because we're insisting that I do so exist because I'm a functioning thing. I do know that I do things, right? That is valid experience. And he says, well, yeah, but it seems like we're starting, staying, stopping. It seems like we're doing things. But really, pin it down. So me, this functioning thing, doing things, it can't be happening the way we think. But his conclusion is, do you see? It has no nature. And then we must say, no, Nagarjuna, I understand your logic, but the conclusion can't be right, because I do so act. Right? When I act, something happens next. That's my direct experience. I pick up this cup, right? I offer it. I put it to my mouth. I take a sip. There's tea there. I swallow it. I do something in the moment. I get a result in the next moment. I am an agent doing an action. I experience it. my Kachik would say, I experience it validly and correctly. And I would admit that sometimes I experience things validly but incorrectly, like when I am driving by a cornfield and I see a guy out in the cornfield, and then I look again and the guy hasn't changed. And I look again and it still hasn't changed. And it's like, oh, it was a scarecrow, right? The seeing a guy in the field was valid, but it was incorrect because I thought it was a man and it was really a scarecrow. Versus, I looked in the field and I saw a scarecrow, valid and correct. To ignorance, we would say, okay, that establishes that what I experience in the moment is what I am actually experiencing when they're valid and they're correct. And what we see where the struggle is to understand highest worldview is that it sure seems like I pick up the teacup and drink, that it seems like it's from this to that, to this, to that, to this, to that in the moment. So to be an agent is to do an action, and to do an action is to be the agent. So we say, when I perform a function, I am a functioning thing. Ta-da, Nagarjuna. I do so exist as a functioning thing. He goes, all right, let's look at that relationship. You know, are you the agent of the action before you're doing the action? Do you become the agent of the action once the action's happening? Does the action have to be completed before you are the agent of the action? And we go, don't be silly. I was the agent before I did the action, while I was doing the action. Once the action's done, okay, now I'm not the agent of that action, I'm the agent of some other action. And he goes, you can't have it both ways, right? Either you are the agent of an action when the action is happening, or you're not the agent of the action, you're the agent of something else. Right? We're not making the distinction, are we? Between the me drinking the tea versus the me turning on the car versus the me talking here. I'm thinking it's the same me. And then if he says, well, look, are you exactly the same as you were before? No, of course, I'm different every instant. I'm the same me and I'm different every instant. Do you see how logical we are? Nagarjuna must go, can't you see you can't be same and different at the same time? That's probably going to be another chapter. But we think we can. So chapter 8, at what point do we become the agent of an action? At what point does the action become the thing that's happening? We can't find it. It's the cause, result, result, cause conundrum. That's that was a fun chapter 8. And the conclusion is, see, agents and what they do, actors and actions, they have no nature. And if we were really following him, we go, oh yeah, right. So it all can happen. Right? The constant shape-shifting forces of our mind. But that just feels so unreal compared to picking up a cup of tea, right? To relate to the constant shape-shifting forces of our deeds.
Yeah, the final conclusion in this chapter, I remember it's conventional truth against ultimate truth, right?
Right,
Way things just, we believe they appear.
right. It looks like I drink tea, and I am drinking tea, but what's really happening is seeds ripening, tea drinking happening.
Right.
Yeah.
In our case, decaffeinated tea.
Good for you.
Hmm.
So then from chapter 8 to 9, the chapter 8, if we had gotten to that conclusion, tea drinking happening versus me drinking tea, then our Kachik would go, tea drinking happening. You know, like, where's the me? Tea drinking happening, me is included in it. But what was the me before the tea drinking happening started? So our Kachik might say, yeah, I get a glimpse of what you're saying in chapter 8, but wait, I had to be there first. You know, didn't I have to be there in order to see something? Didn't I have to be there first in order to see the cup of tea, in order to want the cup of tea, in order to reach out for the cup of tea? I had to be there first. Things have to happen first, second, third. Mm.
Okay, like, for example, I said that I was going to go get something to drink, right?
Uh-huh.
I reached to the kitchen and I I have a coffee pot that it's automatic. You just put a pot there. So I opened it and I saw a whole variety of different coffees that I could select from. So because I'm in Nagarjuna, I'm like more aware. So I go, wow, which one would it be? So it's my kindness that has given me the opportunity to have a different variety to
Right.
choose from,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So I turn it on, it works. That's a different kindness there.
Right.
I get the cup. I have a cup. That's a different kindness as well.
Right.
I place it in, I plug it in, I just press a button and it starts working. That's a different as
Right.
well. So I come here, you guys are here. I'm sharing it with you
Yeah.
in a very intellectual, nice way that I don't share coffee with somebody else or have coffee with somebody else. So all of those are ripenings. There are causes of different actions, and I'm the agent of all of those causes. Aren't I
Huh.
the agent? I mean,
Which
I'm the
you,
one. Hmm?
which you is the
Well,
agent of all of those.
in different times, in different moments, I cannot find it, but there needs to be an agent in order to have actions as well performed, because actions by itself, they don't make karma.
Right. And which agent is that?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly, dear Lama. I know it's
Exactly.
arising and happening.
Exactly. Because it's changing
Right.
every moment, never not there, but never the same 2 moments in a row. Will the real agent please stand up?
Hmm.
We don't disappear when we say that.
No, we
But
don't. No,
something
definitely.
that we believe about ourselves disappears when we say that.
Right. Because all the selections of coffee that I have, maybe they're not from this lifetime.
Right. Right. Even if they were from this lifetime, something you did when you were 4 years old,
Right.
the you that made the cause, 4-year-old you, is different than the you that's ripening the result.
Right.
So how can you really even say that I caused my own result? Because even in this life me that we say I'm the same me as when I was 4 years old, but I'm a different me from a past life me. Like we're just as different now from our 4-year-old as we are from our past life. We just have some thing we're calling continuity of memory that says the me of this life has some greater reality than the me from past life. But technically, the process happening is identical, whether the seeds come from eons ago or the seeds come from last week.
Yeah. For example, I know where the coffee is coming from. Obvious generosity to have to just. She's so generous with me, dear Holy Lama. She just buys me things and buys me things, and I don't need to worry about even getting shoes or blouses or whatever, or dresses
I
or.
wonder where that came from.
But, that's a different agent came over to provide.
And you are still the agent of that, different agent.
Right, a different agent, right.
Our own mind. Yeah.
Yes.
And the
Try and
other way to
go ahead.
analyze it is with arising production and of arising of produced things of phenomena, arising of phenomena and self is the naming of things. So you call it coffee and you call it yourself.
Right.
But that's why
But
it
it's a,
is because you call it coffee. And if it was decaf, would it be fake coffee? You know? Is there such a thing as a fake self then? We have fake coffee? Do we have a fake self?
it's just the name. We just changed the name,
Right.
but it's empty. Yeah.
And so it is what it is. So it is as it appears. Right? I always hear those words and it's like, oh, but it's empty. I feel a part of my mind go into, oh, so it's not really there. It's not real. It doesn't really matter. And it's like, wrong, bring it back because it's empty. It is as it appears. And how I respond is crucial. Like the response to, oh, it's empty, if we had it accurate, would be, wow, I'm going to be kind, right? Wow, I'm going to use this for somebody else's benefit. Wow, like how can I react from that? Like the trigger of emptiness would be behavior. Right? And I take that to conclusion. The trigger of emptiness would be love. Because ultimately what we want to do is respond lovingly to everything. Right? It's like seems impossible, but if we truly, deeply, directly connected with the empty nature of the three spheres of everything, our only response to anything would be love. I can't wait.
Dear Lama, do you see how things are adding up? Like, for example, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, in his birthday, he said, if you want to give me a gift, practice compassion.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
working Bokjimpa with great compassion. So
Mhm.
it's like really wonderful how
Yes.
all the seats are aligning together and we're all in the same mindset. So it's a big rejoice. Thank you, dear Lama.
Mhm. So who was there before the desire? Who was there before the action? Who was there before? And then we can extend that to say, well, then who was there before the first moment of this life me, right? Who was there before that? And his conclusion isn't, well, there is no you there before. It's that the me I think is there before isn't there. There's always a me. But not the same me that's there before. Not the same me that goes from life to life. Well, it's not a different me, but it is a different me. Like we need a different word for different. Different as in me from you versus different me changing. But ultimately, there isn't a difference between those differences. I'm sorry, I'm getting obstacled again. Let's go on. I really want to get to chapter 12.
Oh, take your breath, dear Lama, please. Just point where you want us to read and just we'll do it.
I need to change. I'm going to mute myself.
Don't force yourself, please. Just take a minute.
I thought that file had chapters 10 and 11. They don't. It doesn't. Hmm. Chapter 10 was fire and firewood. In answer to our Kachik saying, no, but Nagarjuna. I have to be there before I can become the actor of the action. I have to already be there. And Kanchik says, it's like fire and firewood. The firewood has to be there before the fire can have anything to burn. And Nagarjuna says, let's check out your analogy. V has to be there first, like fuel has to be there before the fire. Do you remember? It's like the fuel isn't the fuel for the fire until it's burning. It's the potential to be the fuel for the fire, but it's not the fuel until it's burning. But the fire isn't burning until it has the fuel to burn. Those can't be two separate things. But if they're not two separate things, then there would never be fuel that's not burning, and there would never be fire that wasn't fuel. It's like they can't happen. They can't be independent things interrelating, and they can't be one and the same thing, and there be fire sometimes and not fire. And it's like, what the heck is going on? And it really is meant to be what the heck is going on when I am not doing something and then I am doing something and then I'm doing something else. It's like, right? The end of chapter of fuel and firewood always leaves me going, I can't get it. I can't get it.
They're interdependent, dear Lama.
Yeah, which even still says there's two things that are interdependent, and that's not right. Right? There's just the this, and then the this, and then the that, and then the that, and then the it's just this. I don't mean just to
Yeah.
derogatory, like minimalize, but it's mere, it's I can't get the word. It's this and
One
only
interdependent.
shifting. Yeah.
Interdependent means that one depends on the other for it to arise, right?
Yeah, it does mean that. But do you see what the words actually mean?
It's just that in my mind I have fuel and I have fire here.
Yeah.
So they need to connect or touch in certain way for them to arise. It's like the karma needs to ripen at the precise moment to
Yes, and I hear your words. I know you know what you're trying to say, but
right
the way the words come
convey.
out implies there's fire and there's firewood, and my karma ripens, and boom, they come together and I have fire. That's mind only school. Useful, but not ultimate.
Okay, so I spoke on a conventional way. What would be like an ultimate way of saying it?
Firewood burning happening. Firewood done burning happening. Roasting marshmallows happening. It's impossible to use language.
But prior to that, I mean, to have pen, I have to have the parts, don't I? To see pen,
You?
to have pen, to hold pen, to be
Right?
pen,
So the parts are there first, and then you see them, and then you see pen. It's
right?
like that's the same. In that moment of seeing the parts, it's seeing parts happening. Me seeing parts happening. Hyphenate that whole thing.
Me seeing, okay, me seeing.
Right? We can't really say I was there first. Like I'm not a tea drinker. And then I decide to become a tea drinker, and so I reach for the tea. Do you remember that? Even the surfer in Thailand is a cause of the baby born. It's because when we're not, if we can have a moment that we're not something else, when I am not a tea drinker, I'm also not a banana eater or a car driver or I am a not everything else but what I'm doing in the moment. Right? When they say when something is arising and we're aware of what's arising, what we're really doing is negating everything that it's not. It's like touching on this same idea. If we think there's a me here, and then I decide to do something and I do something, then like when I wasn't doing the thing, I was also not doing a bazillion other things, like almost every other thing I wasn't doing besides what I was doing before I was doing anything else. It's like you can't ever be a non-doer. If I'm a doer, I'm always doing something. If I'm a not doer, I can't ever do anything. So somewhere in the middle is this, this constant shape shifting of me doing this, me doing that, me doing this, me doing that. There's never a me before. There's technically never a me after. There's just this constant shape shifting, me happening, me doing, etc. So I think where he's
Hello?
Teaching Lama's line dropped again. Stephanie Corvus.
Yeah. I think she needs to rest a little bit more. I think this is a signal of the universe telling her, slow down a little bit.
Was there some teachings that happened Sunday and Monday? Was it
I'm
her
sorry?
teaching? Was there
Yes,
teachings that happened Sunday? Was it hers?
yes.
Okay. I didn't attend those, but she was talking about teachings that happen Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, she's going through the ACI 9.
Mm.
That's where she talks about the importance of having a teacher. Yeah, she teaches all days, every single day, even sometimes twice a day. Today we're gonna be having Bogjimpa as well.
I look
Tomorrow,
forward to that.
yeah, I like it. Me too.
Well, that must have been important what I was about to say.
Very important. We were talking
It,
about the happenings.
No,
it
you were
shut
talking about
me up.
shape shifting, and then your shape didn't shift.
I know.
Mhm.
But now it's gone. Sorry.
But we got the idea. I did get the idea, dear Holy Lama.
I hope.
Yes.
Maybe it says I just go on too long. Make my answers shorter.
Well, I didn't
No.
know if because that 10 and 11 weren't on there and you just had 12,
Yeah.
did you want to go through 10 and 11 or do you want to go
No,
right to
I
you?
want to get to 12, but I want the string. I want the string of why we're getting to 12 because I want to get to your verse. So we got to 10 because we're insisting that we are there first. Like firewood has to have wood before fire. And then we go, oh, okay, I see your point. It can't be like that. And chapter 11 then was, but what about samsara? Right? Samsara has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Nagarjuna. Okay, you're so smart. And you're saying nothing has a beginning, a middle, or an end. What about samsara? And he goes, right. My point exactly. Okay. So, samsara misunderstood is forced rebirth, aging, illness, death, forced rebirth, aging, illness, death, or illness, aging, death, one way or the other. And if we do the same thing, look for what comes first. You know, do you have to die before you can be reborn? I think so. Do you have to be born before you can die? I think so. Do you have to live a life in between? Well, at least an instant, because they're two different things. But can you ever pinpoint where you are in that cycle? Yeah, I'm 71 years old in this lifetime. Yeah, but do you know for sure there's going to be a 72 years old? Well, no. Do you know for sure there's going to be a tomorrow? Well, no. If you were there going through this thing called life, you should know. You should be able to know if you're an independent thing. And we go, no, of course you don't know, because nobody knows. Right? We're being so illogical that he keeps pulling us back and he says, check it out. This thing called samsara. Buddha promises there's an end to it, but there's no beginning to it. So it's like, and our conclusion was, I don't know, my conclusion was, I still don't get it, Nagarjuna.
I mean, you also know the punchline, which is it's coming from your past deeds.
I know, what a jerk I am. Because I'm still making those seeds. Despite all I've studied, all I've tried to do. Yeah, so it's like, Nagarjuna, you're trying to say samsara doesn't exist. Is he saying that?
No.
No. He's saying it has no nature. Come on, that means it doesn't exist. No, it doesn't. It means it does exist. Why? Because I was such a selfish slob in the past, like last week. So our critique goes, well, if samsara doesn't exist, Nagarjuna, what about all this suffering? What about all this pain? Like, I have pain. People have pain. There's a lot of pain going on, not just physical pain, emotional distress, conflict, right? Disagreement, pulling people apart. And there's a lot of, wow, amazing things going on that then end, right? Amazing things that end. They're just as suffering as pain, 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 pain. And then, regardless of how it all goes, then you die. And what have you got to show for it? You know, it's like, come on, Nagarjuna, you can't say samsara doesn't exist. He didn't say it didn't exist, but that's what we're hearing. What about this suffering stuff? And he goes, okay, let's check that out. Where does this pain of samsara come from? Where does suffering come from? Who makes the pain? And that's what chapter 12 was doing. And when we got to that verse, that Janet unraveled for us, which now is gone from my screen. I'm losing my patience here today with my tech ability. Ah, yeah, look at that. I learned something. Move us. It was this verse 8 of chapter 12. It says, I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. Suppose suffering does not cause itself, which is what his premises has been. Suffering is not caused by, is suffering caused by me? Is it caused by something or somebody else? Let's call it somebody else. Is it caused by something else? Is it caused by itself, or does it have no cause at all? Can't have no cause. We know the punchline, so we say it is caused by me, by my karmic seeds. But when we say, is it caused by me, they mean me in the moment, my self-existent me. Do I take the hammer and whack my own hand? Like, not intentionally, certainly not. So I would say, no, I do not cause my own pain, at least not on purpose, sometimes by accident. Do I think others cause my pain? Absolutely, right? I blame everything and everybody on every diss that I have, right? Do I think the pain comes from itself? No, until I think about it. And then it's like, I don't call a sensation a headache unless it's a pain up here. So headache pain comes from headache pain. Headache pain doesn't come from back pain, and headache pain doesn't come from eating strawberries, right? It's headache pain makes headache pain, but it's not the actual cause. So then in this verse 8, Amit Christie took the Tibetan and looked at the Sanskrit together and said, suppose suffering does not cause itself, that it cannot come all by itself. If pain is not caused by me or by another, how is it caused by anything other than other? Like, what other option is there? If it doesn't cause itself, and I don't cause it, and somebody else doesn't cause it, how can it be caused at all? There's no other option. So Lama Christie had used the word suffering and pain, and she was using the two terms synonymously. And that was my question. Did the original use the two terms suffering and pain synonymously, or did they just use pain, pain, pain? Suppose pain doesn't cause itself. If pain is not caused by me and it's not caused by another and it's not caused all by itself, where the heck does it come from? Right, is what this is asking. So Janet did this beautiful thing, putting the words, the Tibetan words,
I use a dictionary. You
into
too
her
can use a
dictionary.
dictionary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I became a translator for a moment and I rejoiced. That's what Roxana does. But I didn't think I could do it. And
Yay, but you did it.
if you know how to use a dictionary, you can do it. And if your spelling is good, you have to fix your spelling errors.
Yeah, it's beyond me.
No, it isn't. It isn't beyond you. So they use the word pain because suffering doesn't exist.
But neither is the pain. The pain doesn't exist because it doesn't have a cause, because we can't find the cause. So what the heck is all this?
It's in the he spoke. It exists because he spoke it.
Yeah, exactly. But so the word for suffering is dunyal. And I'm assuming this nyal is the same nyal from dunyal, which is the pain. But it's interesting here that the dictionary says nyal is pain, pleasure at gaining, and displeasure at not gaining. So it includes the suffering of change, right? Obvious suffering and a suffering of change included in the word pain, which is interesting. And then it's used again, pain. So Lama Christie took the poetic license to use the term suffering, but it's not incorrect in the sense that this nyal, pain, is including obvious pain and the suffering of change. By calling it suffering, we would also be implying that we're including the pervasive suffering in there, which is a pain, of course. So either way, so thank you, Janet. That helped me understand a little bit better where Nagarjuna is going with this. His point in chapter 12 is the experiences that we have that are pain, suffering, samsara, can't be used to establish that I am a me that exists independent of it, that there then experiences it. We think I'm a me that exists in some way before any experience happens or independent of the experience happening. And then with each experience that does happen, that belief that there's a me here first perpetuates the experience that I'm here first and then something happens to me. Right? Driven by the way the seeds were planted, which included the me here first and something happened to me, and I acted towards that something happening to me in a way that I thought that what I was doing in the moment was going to make the difference. So that what I do toward this other is going to have an effect at the moment, which is inside the seeds then for what happens to me next is something that's going to happen to me in the next moment. Do you see? It's like the ignorance factor goes a little more subtle here. in terms of what we perceive ourselves thinking, doing, saying towards other, making the seeds for how we perceive them thinking, saying, behaving towards us. So when we understand this thing about it looks like they're the cause of my pain, but that looking that way is coming, right? Is my perception, my unique experience. It can't actually be that way. It's valid, it's a valid experience, but incorrect. It is true that doing that, getting run over by a truck hurts. That is true, that is valid. But it's not true that the getting hurt was because the driver was being inattentive. Was the driver being inattentive? Yeah. But he could have been being attentive and some other condition would have ripened that made it such that he still ran over me. Right? There are all these different ways we can rethink a circumstance where we're blaming some other, whether it's another person or just the situation, on the pain that we're having. Is the pain real? Yes and no. Right? The sensations are real. Are they pleasant? No. Well, then they're pain. Yes. But see, not in the way that we think. We know the punchline, but we're trying to get an aha about the punchline instead of just applying it. It's so slippery. Yes, Roxana.
Thank you. I'm listening. I wasn't here past Wednesday. We were flying, but it resonates with so many things what you're saying, dear Holy Lama. For example, I think our worldview is what gets us in trouble for the suffering and the pain. In
Absolutely.
my understanding, suffering and pain are two different things.
Correct.
For someone who's, I don't know, a second language, I interpret it differently, not as a synonymous. But last night, since yesterday's meditation, I've been aware of certain things, and I opened my YouTube on my phone, and then I thought Mario was watching something on TV, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna see if I can watch something more useful for me. And I came across a movie which I never watch on my phone or on YouTube, and it's called Silence. And I noticed that it's from a director, Martin Scorsese, he's a very famous director, and Liam Neeson, who's an actor that I really like. So I thought I'll play it. And it's a movie about the 1600s, and it's a real movie. And when the Spanish and the Portugal people, they travel all the way to Japan, and they are trying to preach the Japanese on Christianity. But Buddhism is the only thing that people know back then. And there are a lot of priests who are being tortured by Japanese for the Buddhist, and you can see all the ways they torture them. And the suffering that it goes because only Buddhism needs to be in Japan. So listening to this, I mean, I was really struck by how Buddhists treated the Christians. And I told Mario, well, that's how the Christians tortured back then others when they were trying to convert them. And it's like one thing and the other, but what I'm taking as a conclusion is that our worldview, in the name of religion or in the name of Buddha or in the name of Jesus, changes completely with our ignorance or our misunderstandings and the suffering that we cause to others.
Right.
So if you get a chance, see it. For me, right now, it's like, wow, you saw it.
Yeah.
You can see how cruel can people be on behalf of the name of Buddha or on behalf of the name of Jesus, and how easily we can forget that we are all alike and that we must respect our own beliefs. And but it is really it really impacted. It's a beautiful movie. I think it has a lot of history in it. You can see how people lived in the 1600s and how those priests, they did believe that they had a truth to share with the world, and how Japan closed the doors for that truth
Yeah.
because they had their own truth.
Yeah.
So it's
Don't
like,
let me do that. Don't let us do that.
right, right, right. So for me, it was a big message. And also, I think that four powers, in the name of all of us who have done something to hurt somebody with so much cruelty, because the punishments that were inflicted on the people, in the Japanese people who
Yeah.
believed in Jesus, it was too much cruelty, and to the priest as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I see my own past, that kind of attitude ripening now, not in my immediate world, but in my news feed world. No, much more.
Right. So
But when you take the witness standpoint, do you do four powers?
Not till after. Not during your Mahamudra meditation, but after.
right.
When your Mahamudra shows you something, you just make a note and come back. So
Yep. Yes.
I'm just going to read the last two of chapter 12. If pain was caused by each of them, meaning self and other, then it would be caused by both. If neither me nor another caused it, how can pain come without a cause? Not only does our pain itself not come from these four choices, but neither could any outer things ever come from these same four. So if we can show ourselves that no pain can come from oneself, itself, right? Pain causing itself, or pain being caused by somebody else, something other than itself, or pain being caused by both those factors, itself and something else. Or pain being caused by no cause at all. Our critique would come to the conclusion of saying, well, Nagarjuna is saying there's no such thing as pain. And excuse me, Nagarjuna, but that's not true, right? So our critique would follow him along, understand the logic, and still reject the conclusion, because the conclusion is mistaken. Is he saying this? There's no such thing as pain? He's saying, no, it comes from some other factor. There's some other factor that's not in this combination, this possible combination. How is it that karma ripening is not included in the other factor? Or how is it that it's not included in the me factor? It is caused by me, my past behavior. Isn't that me? Isn't my current pain caused by the behavior that I did in the past? So, well, then, so was it the me or was it the behavior? Right? We're back to the same conundrum. Which is it that's the actual cause? Oh, it's the seed ripening. When we get there, I predict he's going to say, yeah, and can you find the first moment of that seed ripening? Even with karma, there's something else going on. Whoa. Can't wait till we get to those last 4 chapters, says Janet. Me too.
I was looking at 18 and 19, which is self and time.
Yeah.
But now I hear the last 4 chapters are pretty good too.
All right. So thank you. I'm sorry for all the disruptions. I take a responsibility and I burn them off. So remember that being that we want to be able to help at least one. Our efforts, our struggles, our review of this stuff again and again and again contributes to those ripples in our mind streams. That's influencing our world for the better. So please be happy with yourself. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone that you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy being. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them. Your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it by the power of the goodness that we've just done. May all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person, to share it with everyone you love, to share it with every existing being everywhere. And may it be so. Thank you, my dears.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, dear
Lama.
Holly.
Thank you, everybody.